Today we're going to be tying a Thorax March Brown Dun. I've got a TMCO 100 in the vise already. I've got some 70 denier U-thread in rusty brown. I'm going to start that directly behind the eye. It's a real simple pattern to tie, very effective, good floater, good profile, and you can adjust your hackle quantities so that it can float in whatever type of water that you'd like to fish it in. For the tail, I'm going to take off about 6 pieces of moose. Pull out my under fur. Put it in the hair stacker. Give that a couple taps on the table. Evens those tips out beautifully. So I want that the tail to be essentially the same length as the shank. So I just kind of hold it up, pinch it, measure it, use that as the tie-in point. To reduce bulk, I'm going to wrap all the way down the shank here. And trim off the excess. It's going to help with flotation, but also make it so that you don't have a big bulky tie-in point. At this point in time, I'm going to use some micro fine and dry dubbing in tan. Again, adjust the colors according to your bugs. On the Mackenzie Willamette here, tan seems to be, pretty common, pretty light, especially in the early part of the hatch. As the hatch goes on, it seems like the bugs get a little bit smaller and a little bit darker. So just make a nice little dub noodle here. We're using this dubbing. It's fine, it's easy to work with, but also it's made out of polypropylene, so it has some natural floatability to it as well, which is important when you're tying dries. I'm going to advance that forward just past the halfway mark. Take whatever excess dubbing I have there and kind of remove it. You can kind of see a little bit of a taper there. I've got some sparkle emerger yarn in tan. Kind of taken a clump already out. Trim off the ends just so that it's even when we tie it in. Well, that's in place. We'll leave it long for the time being. I have pre-selected a brown and a grizzly hackle. Normally, I like the grizzly aspect of it because of that little bit of motion to it with the black and white bars. If you were at home tying and you had a dyed tan grizzly or a Cree neck, those would also work in this capacity. What I like to do is I like to just take both of the feathers, expose the stems on them a little bit. When I tie them in, I tie in both tips on the right hand side of the post. For your viewing aspect, it would be on the left, and then I'll bring my thread over to the other side of the wing and help lock that down into place. Then I'm going to apply just a little bit more dubbing, build up a little bit of a shoulder in here for this hackle to sit on. Just a bit more. There we go. Now you can take these feathers and wrap them individually or both at the same time. I like to do both just to save myself a little bit of bench time. There's not a whole bunch of wraps on there. We're only looking for, a couple wraps, and with 2 hackles, obviously that hackle is going to add up pretty quick. Make a couple safety wraps in there, remove my excess. At this point in time, I'll just kind of move all that hackle and everything out of the way and kind of finish up the head a little bit. So we'll whip finish at this point in time. So the thing that makes this fly ride properly is the way that the hackle's been trimmed. So before I do that, I'm going to take my wing. I usually fold down, have it about the same length as the body. go. So what I'll do is I look at the fly from the front section. I'll take my scissors and I'll cut an X out of the hackle. That way when you drop the fly, it lands the right way every time. Kind of like a parachute in that respect. And there you have a completed March Brown Thorax Dun. One of my favorites. Hope it's one of yours too.